Hi besties, hi bunnies. Coffee's cold, truce brewing. Let's hit the road. Just Machado wheel in hand, time to unfold. Early light breaks, coffee chilling in my grip. Hi besties, hi bunnies, join the trip. Cruising mass highway, spilling secrets for hours. 1 to 3 deep, no holds barred, owning our power. Squad's got my back, riding waves through the storm. Besties and bunnies, keeping it warm. Got that wild spark, singing random and free. Keeping the vibe alive, just you and me. Trolls creeping in, haters twisting the feet. Weak shots flying, but they can't plant the seed. Jabbing in my style, my fire, my rise. Obsessed in the shadows, watching with jealous eyes. Drama stirrers calling grift, but facts don't lie. While y'all view my lights touching the sky. Reddit ghosts lurking, basement critique so low. Keep throwing shade, watch this bunny glow. Meow, 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 meow. Hey. Meow, 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 feel it now. Bunny. Just Machado show, chasing down the real. Besties and bunnies got that unbreakable seal. Meow, 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 meow. Trolls fade away. Truth in the air, lighting up the day. After dark or dawn's first gleam, we claim the throne. Justice rolling, meow, if you're in the zone. Meow, meow. Love to my besties, trolls. See your truth awaits. Just Machado show. Buckle up. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Feel it now. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Feel it now. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Feel it now. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Bunnies.
All right, I was muted the whole time. Good morning. Hi, welcome to 24 on 24, the number one show in the 7:30 a.m. time slot on YouTube in Massachusetts, adjacent to Karen Reed. Thank you for having me and inviting me into your home, car, or workplace today. I'm your host, Jessica Machado. I am here with enthusiasm and confidence. Good morning. Good morning, Lauren. Somebody's dog is in the chat. Did it say Jen's dog or something? Good morning to that person. Hi, Tiara Kaza. Good morning, Ben Rosa, who I am sure is here. I saw one of my mods is here, Jen Maple Street. That's nickname. Jen Chatterton. That's whatever. It's forever going to be known that. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning, Caroline. Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is a safe space. Let's start off with a story. I think this will help set the tone for things today. So, baby daddy number one, Ron Travasos, used to be the owner of the St. James Irish Pub. But before he was a Fall River police officer. Right when he was very, very young, to escape poverty, he became a police officer. When all of his friends were still living in the projects, baby daddy joined the police department, and he was on there for I don't know how many years, but after that he decided to leave the police department and go over to the fire department, where he was an arson inspector. And one of the most popular bars in Fall River at the time was the St. James Irish Pub, but at the time it was known as Down Under, because the bar is in the basement of a building on Purchase Street. So it was down in the basement, and it was a big firefighter bar because the owner at the time, his name was David Tivitot. He was also a firefighter. So Ron would go there because it was a firefighter owned bar. And then Ron got hurt investigating a fire. He fell through the floor of a building and blew out his knees. And he never worked for the fire department after that. But he ultimately ended up, after having surgery and whatnot, he ended up part-time bartending at the St. James. And David Tibitat ended up selling the business to a man by the name of John Brandt. John Brandt owned the old Firehouse Smoke Shop right around the corner from there, literally walking distance. And Ron continued to stay on as a bartender and kind of like just work part-time, whatever. And John Brandt didn't pay his business taxes or any taxes, and the IRS came and shut them down. And Ron at the time asked him how much he owed in back taxes. He told him the amount, and he said he couldn't pay it, so he was just going to close the doors. So Ron said, if I pay the back taxes, I want 51% of the business. And because he was going to close it, it didn't matter to him either way. So John Brandt sold 51% of the St. James Irish Pub LLC or whatever to Baby Daddy for what some would say short money, technically, right? But Ron was not interested in running back house operations. So the way it was going to be was Ron was going to take the business and fix it, get it better. And John was just going to continue to run the smoke shop and pay the bills or whatever. So right after this is when yours truly entered the picture. I became a waitress over there. That's where I met Ron. And then our notorious love affair began. When Ron and I started living together, it was very obvious that Ron was very focused on the forward-facing part of this business. He was the face, the personality of the St. James Irish Pub. He was also the one doing all the grunt work and showing up there 24/7. But behind the scenes, John was the one that was running the business portion of it. And Ron lived in a blissful state where he had what he considered to be the easiest part, which was his personality, running the joint. Now, for those of you who don't know Baby Daddy number one, he and I are very similar. You either really, really love him or you really, really hate him because he's very, very opinionated and he does not give any fucks about what people think, right? At all. Those of you who know him are like, okay. But you ultimately end up loving him. You may hate him at first, but you really, really love him because he's got a wonderful heart, kind of like yours truly. So for years, Ron just focused on the front of the house business while he let his partner focus on the back. And that ended up becoming a massive problem when the IRS showed up again one day when Ron went to just go open the doors, and they had a outstanding bill for an extreme amount of money. And I actually was watching it happen in real time. Fun fact, Pamela Liberty LeBeau, who was a city councilor in Fall River, who has a little bit of lore behind her after she was arrested for using a burner phone number to harass her lover's wife. Pam was running for city council, and I was part of her campaign management team. We had an office across the street from the St. James Irish Pub. And one day I was there working with Pam, and out the big window, I see Baby Daddy. Not unusual seeing him walk to the bank, but I'm seeing him walking with a guy that looks like a Fed, and he's got a little fucking badge on his waist. And I look at Pam and I'm going, what the fuck is going on? I run out. And by the way, Baby Daddy looked extremely stressed out. So I walk over and I'm like, hi, is everything okay? And I instantly knew. Now, Ron and I were not together at the time. Jeff and I were already married. But again, of course, Ron and I are friends. And I could tell something was wrong. And he's like, no, it's not fucking okay. He's like, this motherfucker hasn't paid the tax bill in 2 years. And I was like, what? And he's like, yep, this is so-and-so from it was the feds. And so I guess in order to literally keep the doors open, they wanted a certain portion of whatever was owed. And begrudgingly and with the most anger I have ever seen on his face, Ron walked into the bank and took money out of his own personal account and paid 10 grand to keep the doors open just temporarily until they were able to sit down and give him an assessment of the true value of what they owed in back taxes. Eventually, Ron parlayed that into sole ownership of the St. James, dug it out of the massive hole that it was in, rebuilt it, got through COVID without ever closing the doors unless it was mandated, and then sold it for a mint. And we've spoken about this at length, and what he felt was his inability to ever care about the back end of the business, that he was just so comfortable in the front end, in the forward-facing part, the personality, the connections with customers, the day-to-day operations, making sure the doors were open, and what a detriment it was to him, and it caused him so much grief and so much work that he wished all he had done was pay attention to the back end of things. The reason I tell you that story is that is currently where I am at in my business, the front end of all of it. I wake up every day, I do a show, I like the social media part of it, I'm the face, I'm the content, I'm the personality. But behind this business, which many people are depending on, and that's a bunch of followers, as you know, was I read a bunch of emails from you. There are a lot of people who are depending on this brand to not only deliver every day, but to actually elevate and become bigger, right? There's a lot of people rooting for me. So there's a big shift that is going to be taking place, all coinciding with this timing of Georgia leaving school for the year, all of the things to really focus on the back end of what's going on here. And one of the things, and it doesn't sound like much, but one of the things that has not been given much care is really what's going on in the arena that I'm in, as far as watching shows, watching comments, feeling the temperature in the environment, which can help or hinder my platform. I cannot continue to just go around and blissfully say, I don't know what people are saying about me. I don't know what's being said. I'm not really sure. I can't do that anymore. I have to pay attention because a lot of us share viewerships. And for the past couple of days, it's been more than a couple of days, I have really been spending a lot of time watching things, okay? Watching other people's content, listening to their shows, watching what kind of a production they put on. And I have to make some adjustments. But there's a downside to this because I prided myself on just saying like, this is how I am. I don't care what people think. I kind of have to start paying attention. And I think if I had been paying attention, I don't think things would be so bizarre right now. But either way, there'll be some adjustments and I'm paying attention. I also spent a little bit more time delving into the email that fairy godmother Linda sent me. And it really is a tremendous business plan on the surface and what I should focus on and what I shouldn't focus on. And I agreed with almost like 90% of it. And so we have a little bit more of a focus here. There's a car here. And I know who it belongs to. They have a house on Riverside Avenue, and can I do a large iced white chocolate pistachio made with whole milk? That's it. I fear that Derek is gone, even though he had a 2-week notice. I fear he's gone. I wasn't here on Monday, right? But he's not here again today. He wasn't here yesterday. I feel like something's up. So anyway, I'm going to be. Wait. What is this guy doing? Like, this guy is literally going to hit me. What are you doing? I mean, I had no doubt that this vehicle was actually going to slam into me. And I actually got out of the way. But, like, F off, dude. There's a truck. It's such a tight parking lot. He's trying to make a delivery. But, like, whatever. Anyway. So, now, we have to, so thanks for listening to all that. So I just really kind of wanted to just kind of give you a little bit of like my headspace on what's going on right now. I care very much about my business. I don't care about losing subs. This seems to be a big thing for everybody. I guess it's okay for you to guys to, for people to say that, but I would like you to just look at views if you could, because subs don't matter. Memberships matter. And those are up like 380% as of this morning. But views are what matter, because views translate into ad revenue, and ad revenue translates into payment to me. And the views for these shows are way higher than what they would normally be. So brag about subs, but I think what that does is that makes people say, well, what's going on over there? Sounds like a train wreck if she's hemorrhaging sub. Let's go look. And then people listen. And then they are faced with this charming personality. And then they can't turn away. So we will just be moving forward with strategy and things like that. Oddly enough, there is a very peculiar sentiment that is around the internet where it goes, it's all about money for her. Yes, it is. I cannot do this without the monies. And I have been poors. Do you remember the repos? And do you remember that I could not pay the bills? Do you remember I could not go on vacations? Do you remember that I could not do anything for the children's? Like, what? Wait, yes, it is for the monies. The reason is because it is my jobby job, and I hope everybody who has one of those is getting compensated for it fairly. If it matters, I've dug myself out of a hole with this jobby job. And so there is just this crazy thing where it's like all she cares about is the monies. I think it's very obvious I care about way more than just the monies. I refuse to say anything other than the monies. It's like about the monies. Like, first of all, if there are people who are streaming on here and they are not, well, I could say not monetized. If they're not monetized, they're hoping to get monetized. But if there is a content creator on here, on YouTube, that is streaming, and they don't care about what happens on the 21st of every month when a deposit hits their account, they are lying to you. They are lying to you. Even Aiden Carney, who is making way more money than all of us combined, cares about the money that hits his account because he has some fucking bills to pay. Good morning. Is Derek not working here anymore?
No, he's still here.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he is still here.
I know he's leaving.
He's leaving soon.
I haven't seen him in a couple days, so I was like, is he gone already?
No, not yet.
Okay. If that card's not, I know it's kind of weird. I have another one. You can use this one. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't have a chip, so nobody can, yeah. It's old school. All right, thanks.
Yep.
No worries. Do you guys remember when I had to lock my card because I was afraid some sort of subscription to the fucking Boston Herald was going to put me in the negative and I couldn't, I mean, like, why can't I care about the money? Why can't I care about what I get paid? Why can't I reach for the stars with the monies? I don't understand it. It's so crazy to me. Nobody who's doing this for a living full time doesn't care about the numbers or the bottom line. The issue is, do you care about other things when you do it? And I think the answer is very obvious that I do. I probably care too much. That is becoming a problem. Hashtag no more strays. So, and if it matters to anybody, again, like, it's just, I'm doing this and I'm barely just normal now. You know what I mean? So I want to try to make it work so I can continue to do this for a living because it's my job. So, you know, I'm just telling you, content creators who are saying these things about me, it's all about the money and it's all about the clicks, while they are on their channels getting the money and the clicks, has to be some fucking fourth world portal shit. Because, like, who on this planet thinks that way? Where is there a portal that they step into when they start their channels and it's like they're into a world like just like that has been levied with hypocrisy? What do you mean? How can you say that from your channel where you're earning money? No straw. Thanks, babe. You too. How can you do that? That is the definition of hypocrisy. You're earning money while you're saying all I care about is earning the money. It is absolutely fucking wild. The biggest problem I have is I can counterpoint every fucking piece of hypocrisy that I have witnessed over the past 2 weeks, but it would take me fucking two weeks to do it. It would take me so long because it's just like, it's every day. It's a bunch of fucking crazy shit. I don't get it. Meanwhile, they are getting money by talking about me and getting more views. Go back and look. You know that's true. Especially for some smaller content creators. They're seeing big numbers getting involved in this. All at the expense of a woman who just happens to have an opinion different than everybody else. Like I haven't been here before. All these people are very, very lucky. Well, I thought about this as well, and I hope I say it in the right way so that it comes off exactly how I mean. That I have this like unbreakable confidence. So they do feel that they can pile on across all of these different accounts. Like it's account after account after account after account. It is content creator after content creator after it is far worse than anything anybody has ever seen. And the only reason they are all doing it is because I think they inherently know that I don't give a fuck and that it will not fucking break me. Because if any of these people stepped outside of what's going on and looked at the sheer volume of content creators that are coming at me and attacking me and thought that maybe that would impact my like mental health, where I would like have to go like check myself into a clinic for 14 days or something like that, nobody would be doing it. Because I'd like to think that they're all good people, right? Just because they have different opinions than me doesn't mean I think that they're bad people. So basically, by piling on, and piling on is the right word, they all are like somehow silently stating that they can all do it and it will not impact me. And to an extent, you are correct. You are correct. And what you don't even realize, weirdos, is that the onslaught of attacks across all of these content creator platforms is making me double down on myself. And in turn, it is causing my audience to go ballistic with happiness. It is causing the women that follow me and the men, shout out Ben Rosa, Tristan, Scott, and all the besties. Mark, I see you. It is causing all of them to become like fucking Oprah's fucking Christmas show, where she is like saying, you get a this and you get a that. You get a show, you get a show, you get a show. I am literally getting people that are like over the top thrilled and excited about me basically showing up every day now. I used to show up all the time. Nobody got really that crazy. Now I show up and everybody's like, "Wow, she's here! Oh my God." The buddies are like off the fucking rails because they're like, this bitch got up again. She's here. She did it. Like, all you're doing is like causing this whole new like vibe. And like, are you thinking about what you're doing? Is anybody like really thinking about this and what's happening? If all of you are like betting on me not waking up and doing 24 on 24, you fucked up, because that's not going to happen. And all you've done is like turn these women into like crazed fans now. So good. Thank you. I think thank you so much for kicking me so fucking much. Look at them. They're in the chat going fucking nuts because of Will last night. How dare Will? Look what Will did, and she's here again. Ah! Okay, we're just gonna keep going. I mean, yes, we had to take a couple days, but that's okay. I just needed to recenter. I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. I had people literally message me and be like, bitch, my mental health depends on this. So you guys are just doing some weird shit and it's not working. Please stop, save yourself, focus on your own brands because they are peculiar, to say the least. Because when the Jess Machado content wanes, which it will, it always does, you are back looking at the screen and facing a very low number of people looking back at you. You know that, right? You and I know what it's like when you look at that screen, when you're doing your live stream, and that number is already further down than it ever was when you started this bullshit thing with me, right? You think I don't know how this is going to go? I have done this for years. Forever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. I've been doing this for years. I just have been. I know how it goes. The people get crazy. It's not rooted in truth. Haters get leverage. They feel empowered. I rise from the ashes. Everything is awesome. Hold on one second. Alan Carpenter! He's on the job site. We had to scream at him. He just looked at me. He's like, dude, what? Shout out Pizza Allen. God, that's early for me screaming. Like a lot of screaming this morning. Forever, ever, forever, ever. So there's that. So that's my little introduction. Let's get into a couple of things. Last night I was doing business. Okay. I was on the internet and people were sending me screenshots of things. By the way, there are some people that still have the ability to text me. Other people cannot, but there are some. And they send me the things. And so I go to the interwebs and I look at the things, and I needed to see it was still there, and it was. And I saw a text, a response from Will the Glearer. And now, again, I don't watch Will's channel. Again, I would pop in occasionally. I have an interesting, feeling towards Will that I've never shared. I think it's maybe a little obvious if you watched the show last night. But Will is an example of someone who says things and does things that I don't agree with, but I am able to not say anything about it. And so for this whole time, there have been times where I have fundamentally disagreed with things and statements that Will has said, but I have not said anything at all. The number one reason for that I articulated last night is because what I view as loyalty to Aiden, and Aiden appreciating that. And so out of my care for Aiden, well, I don't want to get into that yet because that needs a little bit more depth. I saw a comment, and the comment said, She's not just going to be able to sit back until this passes, or I'm not going to let her sit back until this passes. I wish the screenshot is on the phone I'm talking on, so I can't grab it. And I looked at that and I went, so is he saying that he is going to perpetuate drama, which I moved past from, haven't discussed, until I apologize? Not to him, but to someone else? And that felt a little threatening to me. Like, that another content creator who I have chosen to never, disparage, doesn't mean that means he can't. I'm just saying this is someone who I've kind of held the line with for a while, is making a public statement and saying that he personally wasn't going to let me move on from something that I chose to move on, and that he felt like I deserved it, and that the way I wanted to handle this wasn't satisfactory to him. And I sat there and I read it for a second, and of course my first thought was, who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck are you? And so that was my first reaction. So I go over to his channel to go watch his last live stream to see if this has been discussed, because again, I wasn't paying attention. And it turns out he is live. And I jump on, and what do you think is happening? He is actually talking about me. So I'm listening, and I'm going, do I react or do I not react? Do I not react? Do I react? And I'm fucking watching, and I'm going, I'm just not sure what I should do. And so I comment, Will, I've never said a bad word about you on my streams. And he acknowledges it. And I text him that exact same thing, that exact same comment before he acknowledged it. I think I commented it and he didn't see it. And I said, I'm going to text it to him, and then I'm just going to get off. And then he starts going off again. And so I call because I'm going to leave a message. I did not assume he was going to pick up. But once he picked up, I was kind of like, oh, he's fucking on air. And if I hang up on him, it's going to be weird. So I'm like, fuck. So I start talking, and you can go back and watch it. I try to have a conversation. It does not go well because there were some just having a conversation with someone who talks like that isn't productive. And I identified that within the first minute. I knew it wasn't going to go well. I knew. It was again, this not sticking to reasoning, not wanting to take something and kind of work it out, or come to some sort of a agreement on a statement where okay, can we acknowledge this, but then acknowledge it was not doing that. How I felt about things was not being considered. It was just his way and how we thought about things, and I had my way, and it was just not going to go well. And I tried probably longer than I should have. I got upset. I didn't get angry, but I got emotional. I was trying to make my point, but it's different trying to make your point on a platform like this when it's your place, your space, and nobody's interjecting or doing anything. When you're unprepared and you're in their arena, it's a little different. I stand by, though, some of the things that I said, that it is what it is. I don't regret doing it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I can tell you that. That's not what my plan was. I was going to leave him a voice memo. I don't feel that I'm going to stick with my plan that I've had this whole time, which is I am not going to disparage Will on my show. I've made a couple of comments only when there's kind of some activity that is he and I are kind of a part of, but for the most part, I don't say anything. I've also even moved past some issues with And I feel like if I actually like dissect all of the statements that were made, not only on his show last night when he was on alone, but when I was on, I don't think anybody is going to be okay with it. That's exactly how I feel. I think it will be problematic for many, many people, including Aiden. And so, because I don't want him to, I mean, I think he's dealing with me and how he feels about me and what I'm doing with somebody else here. And I think he's made some really great statements that I understand. But I think it would put him in a much worse position with Will if I'm going at Will. So I'm going to allow it to exist in the space where Will is coming at me and I am not going at him. I'm not going to put Aiden in that position. If Will chooses to keep doing that, that's on Will, not on me. So I won't do it. I could. I'd probably need a whiteboard to do it, but I'm just not doing it. It's not worth it to me. People disappoint me every single solitary day, man. That's my takeaway. And it's very easy for people to, and I'm not talking about Will, but I think overall we've moved on from that piece. I think it's very easy well, I'm not even going to say it's easy. I think it's human nature. If somebody has an opinion about me, maybe they don't feel confident saying it, but when there are a bunch of people that they look up to on the internet saying it, then maybe they can come out of the shadows. They feel confidence. They feel like it's time they can say what they want. It happened with other people like LTL when other people came at me for something. He came out of the shadows, and then Mike Crawford did. And the behavior it's repetitive. You know what I mean? I've seen it before. What really is hard to do is to be the lone person going against the stream of what's hard to be is the person swimming upstream when everybody is swimming downstream with a notion or an idea or a opinion, and to recognize that that doesn't align with how you feel and to turn around and go in the opposite direction. It's scary. It's dangerous, and not everybody can do it. I'm comfortable doing it. And I do it with thought, and I do it with knowledge, and it is unfortunately something I've been through plenty of times. You guys know that already, you know? So you're forgetting, like, back in the day, we had a very well-liked selectman. Everybody loved and adored her. And I picked up right away that something wasn't about the way that this individual was governing. And I had no problem stating that publicly. And it cost me so much. It cost me so much. But I was right. Just took 5 years for it to all come to fruition. One of my favorite people in the world is Cheryl Pimentel Costa, who is in the chat, and she's on X. And Cheryl Pimentel Costa is like the manifestation of this whole thing. She is a very public member of our community. Her husband is very, very well known. He's a firefighter. And she and her husband were very big supporters of the selectmen that I was talking about. They also partook in disparaging statements and comments about me. And years passed, and one day she was like, I was wrong and I get it. And my thing was, I always liked her. So it was hard for me because, like, she just, she jumped on the bandwagon with McNamara and stuff. And I was like, it's too bad, because I saw her, the way she parented and stuff like that. And I had a lot of respect for her and how she could fucking wife down her husband, because nobody could seem to tame him, and she was doing it. And I was like admiring her for it. But, I can't be friends with everybody. Not everybody's going to like you or whatever, So she is really just a manifestation of, like, what happens when you are the person in the forefront doing something nobody else does? It sucks. You have to make sacrifices. It's hard. People don't understand you. You look crazy. People think you're a loser, all the shit like that. That's okay. People hate you. Oh, Cheryl is here. Good morning, Queen. And I think I'm addicted to that, though. I think I'm addicted to that proving people wrong thing. I'm addicted to that long game, like, moment where everybody is like, oh shit, she was right. You know what I mean? I am addicted to that. It's very, I don't know. Now, in order for me to really take this to the next level, we do have to actually develop quality content. I've been watching a lot of other people's shows, and I will not say names or anything like that, but I maintain that there is a lack of talent out there that is peculiar, and I recognize that people just watch out of just sheer absolutely nothing else to watch sometimes. I know it. I know you're watching this shit and you're going, I can't even, whatever. It's okay. Uh, like what? I guess that's the biggest takeaway from all of this is by watching other content creators, and I'm going, why am I fucking trying so hard? This is the baseline here. The baseline is Jess Machado. Like, that's what they talk about. I get it. There's a lot going on with me right now, but like, even further back, like, the threshold is so low here. It's almost like obvious why people fucking hate me. Because, like, I guess I'd hate me too if I'm putting on these fucking shows and they're that good. Bunny After Dark, I mean, I put up this compilation video with Billy Joel, I Go to Extremes, because that song is literally me. My husband says it all the time. That song is literally about me. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to put a montage together with one of my favorite songs. And if you haven't seen it, I put it on X. I think I put it on Facebook. I can't put it on YouTube because it's whatever, demonetized potentially. But I'm going back and I'm watching shows of mine. Now, I can't watch all of them, but I'm going back and I'm watching clips, right? And the biggest misconception that people are running away with here is that the majority of my Bunny After Dark shows are shit-talking people. That is actually not true at all. The majority of my shows have nothing to do with shit-talking other people. The majority of my shows are the funniest fucking shit of all time that comes straight from the depths of my fucking trauma and imagination. And you guys are actually wrong about that. There are, of course, sprinkled in drama and sprinkled in me talking about the hot shit at whatever moment it's going on. But who the fuck out there is doing what I was doing every single solitary week of, like, putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and being entertaining and funny? Absolutely nobody. Do you understand that Will DeGlarer, his show is just talking about all of the shit that's going on, which is 99% drama? That is his show. And I'm not even saying that's bad, but that's the show, is talking about other people and drama. And it's a great business model. It absolutely works, and I'm not disrespecting him. But it's a little hypocritical to criticize me. And if you go back and you watch all of these Bunny After Darks, where am I acting like that? Absolutely nothing like that at all. It's nothing like that. It's crazy to me. Like, there's almost like people are living in a state of, like, Delulu. Like, have you watched Bunny After Dark? What are you doing? How can you say that? Like, I mean, I get it, the Horizon Social Chart skit and stuff like that, but, like, what? So I would hate me fucking too, everybody. If I were in this arena and I was doing this, unless you have like a real talent, I would hate me too. It also makes so much sense to me that like this thing with what I said about something that, by the way, I wasn't even cultivating, had been going on for months or weeks, and I finally just like gave my 2 cents. And by the way, everybody is skimming over the biggest part about this is that I 100% knew that that guy hated my guts. Politically, he hated me. He hated how I felt about, listen, you think I don't have the receipts? He hated me on how I felt about migrants, all of this shit, right? Like, after all of the months of all of this shit, me speaking up and saying something was coming from a place of like knowing that this guy didn't fucking like me already. Like, maybe it wasn't public, but I knew. So fucking so what? Over the course of 2 days, I made 3 comments about a guy that everybody else was talking about. So what? So what? But it's completely disproportionate what has happened. And I guess if I want to, and I need to look at the other side of it, because one of the things that like Will said that I am pausing to think about, and I maybe need to think a little bit more about, is he's a good guy. He's on the side of Aiden and everything. So how could you go against somebody on the same side as us or whatever? Well, I guess my response to that is, why can't I? Why can't I just say what I said about this person, rooted in how I knew he felt about me and also the other shit I knew? And why can't I? I get it. Maybe it's tumultuous, but at the end of the day, he's still going to do what he wants to do. You're allowed to do what you want to do. And everybody else is allowed to say and do what they want about everybody. I mean, this is going to be a slippery slope. And I'm going to respect some shit here. And I'm just going to hold back on some statements because I know it's not going to be good. This whole space depends on people being able to say what they want, when they want, and how they want. It is led by a man who has made a living off of it, who has started movements over it, who has gone to jail over it, who has faced criminal charges over it, who is still facing criminal charges over it. And he gets to say and do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And the blueprint on what I do in this space right now, currently, is based on Aiden. And Aiden says and does whatever the fuck he wants, when he wants, how he wants. And I also have the right to do that. And I will. This is my channel. This is my space. These are my fans. This is my life. This is my money. And nobody has the right to tell me what to do or what I should do. Nobody. It's unfair to ask us listeners just to believe you without receipts for Baker. You're getting deleted because I've been watching you the whole time and I've seen you and you've been hyping me up, but I had an undercurrent and an underfeeling of who you are. So I'm going to ban you, start a new one. I want to be able to say and do whatever I want. It's hypocritical. And I don't go out ever telling people they can't say or do what they want. I never tell people they can't say or do that. I never would be so ostentatious to ever say somebody needs to basically take back everything they said about somebody and how they feel. Now, I will bring up a point before anybody brings it up because I think it's important to say. I did say one time on a live, apologize to me, Kim. And that was because she didn't read my messages. And I don't want to bring that up because Kim and I on the phone had a conversation, worked through things and whatever. But I said that one time, and then there was a resolution. And I think it was, well, it's not quite the same scenario. So I don't think we can do it or whatever. But listen, people can do what they want. I sent a message to this person and I said, I will not be apologizing. And I think it is probably best for you to figure out how to exist in this space without me apologizing. I don't understand why that would be necessary. If I apologized at this point, you and everybody else would know that it would not be heartfelt and it wouldn't be coming from a place of authenticity. So now that has been determined, now that I've articulated how I feel and why I feel that way, further demanding a public apology would not benefit anybody. But if that is what you need, it's not happening. And I think everybody who wants that or feels like that is important or people can't move on because of it, you have to. You have no choice. Jess, when is the last time you were generally happy for 30 plus minutes? It's tough. I have an undercurrent of happiness. Like I'm always very blessed about like how I feel about my approach to life. I think we talked about that on a previous show where it's like, I don't know, the day I no longer lived with Greg was like a really start of like this undercurrent of like nothing will ever be as bad as what that was. So every day I have it. I'm Jesus Christ. I am very intense. I can very rarely relax. But overall, I mean, I'm happier with my life since I started working for myself than I've ever been. Like ever. I'm usually happy on the 21st of every month. Hold on one second. Huh. Isn't that funny? Hello. Hi, Mazza. Approachables? That's approachables? I can tell you're on the road. How can I help you? You've got to roll up the window because I can't hear. Because when I, I know, but when you're on hands free, it's very hard. I hear like something. I don't know. Go ahead. Okay, Mazza, what you need? I don't think we can afford to go this weekend to that. We have to pay for the fence. I know you want to do that, but I just don't. When I let me l- let me talk to Mike about the cost and Mike. Right, Jeffrey went from approachables to not approachables. Uh, listen, we have an unexpected expense that I think is going to be a little costly or whatever. And that was not in my budget for the month. I can't even talk about it because as I'm saying it, somebody's literally going to be like, "Oh, Jess is talking about this. So this is fucking my real life. You are witnessing to it in real time, or whatever." Jeff wants to go see Dave Matthews this weekend at I think it's on Saturday at Great Woods, which we were going to go, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to go. But now Jeff wants to go, and he doesn't want to sit on the lawn. He wants actual seats. And the tickets are just way more money. And I was like, I would rather just save money for like a concert that I want to go to. And I just made the mistake of saying we have to pay for the fence and stuff. And Jeff got mad because his default emotion on this is it's these kids that did it. So the kids should be paying for it. Which is probably accurate, but because he felt so bad, I didn't want to say anything to the kid and Georgia and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know, whatever. He's angry that I said, I don't know how I said it. I said, I'm not really sure. I don't even know if I was muted because I muted it for a second. But I said, I'm not really sure if we want to go to Dave Matthews. Like, it's not really something that I can justify spending money on when we have an expense, and I don't really know exactly what the fence is going to cost. I think he's right. I probably should go to the kids and I should ask them to pay for some of what we're doing. Kid doesn't want to put it on his insurance, which is rightfully so because he just got into another accident, and so it's not going to be enough for our homeowners because of the deductible. So it's like it's just going to be coming out of our pocket. And Georgia saved all her money for her driving lessons. So I don't want to touch her savings for that. And so I have the money to do this. I just, if I'm spending money somewhere, say this thing cost me, $600 or something like that. Who knows? Do I got to get a permit? I don't know. We got to find out to fix this fence. So I'm not really sure. So we need to do the fence because we have cardboard covering it and it's not going to last. So I would like to just get the fence out of the way. And in my mind, I can't really go to a concert until, do you know what I mean? I can't go to a concert until I get this thing taken care of. We can't do both. And Jeffrey feels like it's the kid's fault. So now he's equating in his head that he's not going to go see Dave Matthews because the kids. Sorry, Meowser. Anyway, I'm just backing up because we were facing the wrong direction and there's a little bit of sun here and I don't want my phone to overheat again. That happened yesterday and it just shut me down. So I've already given like far too much oxygen to this whole situation because believe it or not, as evidenced by the other day and the day before, I can produce content without using other people for content. I do it all the time. If you need a reminder of that, please give me the views and go watch the Bunny After Darks because those are fucking fantastic. They really, really are. All right, so let's get just want to just check this one thing and then we can kind of like swing back and focus. So I released a Substack last night, pretty late, only because it took me all day to rework it. So there's a couple of things. Let me walk you through this. So obviously, if you listen to 24 and 24 yesterday in real time, we were doing a quote unquote investigation together. This was something I was already looking into, but the phone call to our assessor's office was done on live. And it was during that conversation with the assessor where basically everything that I had already uncovered, by the way, through my own curiosity and investigations to be true, was validated by speaking with the assessor. Since then, there was some additional pieces of information that I was given from an outside source, and I actually had written my article to include that. And then at the last minute, I decided to change it and rework the article. So first and foremost, Just Machado Show Substack is a platform where I release all of my written work. There was a time where we were trying to do it on X because they have like an articles thing. I don't love that. And I will talk about why. I think if, before it used to be like, we'll publish it on Substack, then also publish it on articles. The articles, I really just feel get buried, and it's just better. As much as X doesn't like to promote or show my outside links, when you post an outside link on X, it gets far less views than a post that keeps people on X. So they penalize you for leaving the platform. That's why they started articles. It's like, don't send us to an article on Substack, write your article here. So I think that it sucks, but there's a chipmunk. But anyway, we post on Substack. We built that platform. We have over 3,000 subscribers on Substack, and I'm very proud of it. And it's a really great platform. It's actually very user friendly. Shout out Meredith O'Neill, who has been using Substack to disparage all of her haters. She's probably recognizing what I've known for quite some time, which is Substack is a very user-friendly platform. And it has a lot of really great tools. And if you really use it to its maximum capacity, it's the best of the best. So Just Machado Show Substack is where you can go and find my written investigative work and pieces. The exclusive interview with Karen Reed juror Paula Prado, which was the first written article or interview with any juror after the second trial. Yours truly was the only person in the nation to get it. Isn't that crazy? A lot of people sitting over here saying like, this bitch she sucks. I was the first person to get a written interview with a Karen Reed juror. Nobody else got that. They had that guy that did that interview with like a TMZ, but it was like an audio like interview on a stream. Like I interviewed a juror in the Karen Reed trial, the first to do it by a long shot. Y'all need to be reminded of who you're dealing with. Not you guys. You're just the babies. Not you, like all the other people. And by the way, just because I stopped doing that stuff so I could build a platform here so I could finance my lifestyle doesn't mean that talent goes away. It was just dormant. And you're under no jurisdiction to tell me when or how I should be an investigative journalist. My favorite fucking clapback from these goddamn fucking cocksucking whores is when they go, get back to journalism. I was a big fan of when you were I'm still a journalist. That's like inherently inside me. You can't change my fucking DNA, weirdos. I am still that. I just figured out how to fucking make money off of something else so I could do that shit. It's none of your motherfucking business. If you want me to do journalism, pay me. I say it all the time. You want me to shut my mouth? I will. For $8,000 a month, I will never fucking do another stream. How about that? And I'll just do the investigative journalisms. You fucking weirdos. God damn it. Anyway, weirdos. So Substack, Just Machado Show Substack. I published an article there late last night, and it is in regards to Jameson Souza, who was a former school committee chairman, a former member of our planning board, and a former member of our board of selectmen, where he served as chair up until just this past April. And now he wants to come and become our state rep. He is very good friends with Pat Haddad, who is the 24-year incumbent that lost to Justin Thurber. He's the chairman of the Somerset Democratic Town Committee. And like this guy is now running for office. And there are plenty of other stories about Jameson that didn't get the traction because back in the day, your girl only had a small little platform where only people in Somerset could hear me. And then we built it up to maybe, the Fall River area because we were on Fall River Reporter. But now because of YouTube and all of the other shit, your girl has a far bigger platform now, and we are using it for good. And we wrote an article to expose the absolute truth. So I'll walk you through that. There were a lot of other things that I could have added to this article, connecting this person to other people, really kind of like showing point A to point B on not only this issue at hand, but other things. But what I did ultimately is I scrapped that article and rewrote it with just a simple, fast, fact-based article. Okay. I left opinion out of it. There's actually one line in this thing that I think actually could be interpreted as an opinion. And if you want the truth, I'm most likely going to remove it. I think I wrote an extensive knowledge on assessments and property taxes. And I feel that that is actually like open to interpretation. Just because he's a real estate agent does not mean that he has extensive knowledge. And I want to shout out to the person who was on my Substack who commented that. It did make me pause and say, but I stripped down the article to the most basic facts and information that I could, because it's fact-based reporting. You know, we have a person who served as an elected official. During the time he served as an elected official, his property taxes were not assessed properly based on his information being misrepresented at the town level. So somehow, some way, and I put together those some way. This person seems like the only person in town that had a very large, expensive in-ground pool installed and was assessed the wrong amount because the pool has the wrong dimensions. And I spent a ridiculous amount of time researching other pools, and I can't find any pools that have the wrong dimensions. And I looked at 50. I put 30 because there's a couple that I took out all the names of his friends essentially on my list. So if they were friendly with them, I took them out because I don't want to use them. So I just found 30 other in-ground pools in Somerset, and none of them are wrong. What are the chances of that? What are the chances of that? If I've got to do every in-ground pool in Somerset, sounds like a day for me to sit in front of the laptop or like task some of my besties with it and be like, okay, you do this part of town, you do this part of town, this pound, and you're going to go in and you're going to zoom in on Google Maps. You're going to measure it. I'll teach you how to measure it. And you're going to get the dimensions, and then you're going to pull the property card, and you're going to go in there and you're going to look and you're going to say, what is this property, showing? And it's going to match because I've pulled a sample of it and 50 of them match. Only one of them didn't match. And it happened to be Jameson fucking Souza. And I find it just, I'm not even going to elaborate. That's the facts. Now his connection, his relationship to the building inspector, that's for article number 2. Okay. But I'm just going to let you know that based on regular old school investigating, Jameson Souza is so far the only person in this town who had a pool that is 800 square feet that was listed as 288 square feet. And in the article, you will see there is a sampling of just some. I didn't want to put a huge picture because when you're looking on your phone, like when you're looking at these things on your phone, which most people do for your Substack, I didn't want to have like a huge thing. So I just cut my little sample or whatever. So you get a little sample of it, but like, just look at it. So based on the assessor telling me that the pool looked to her, based on her assessment, it was 800 square feet and that they were going to adjust it. Look at all of the other pools, their size, and what their property values are showing for the pool. He's the only one. Ben Rosa is saying it couldn't be any more obvious. That's correct. It could not be any more obvious. But nobody would know. Nobody would be looking. Nobody would be paying attention to that. except me, because I'm pretty much done with these Democratic politicians. So Jameson's pool, based on what the assessor told me and what you and I can figure out ourselves if you go in Google Maps and you measure it, his pool is 800 square feet. It's 20 by 40. And it was assessed a value of 16,560. So 800 square feet at 16,000. We have another pool with 320 square feet, which is assessed at 24,000. We have another pool at 1,120, which seems crazy big, but that one's assessed at 50,000. 697 square feet, 24,000. Like, so the lowest one there, I guess, would be 512 square feet. It was installed in 2016, and it's assessed at $28,000. Can we estimate the amount of taxes he has skirted? It's not a lot of money, because the property rate for Somerset, I believe, is like, let's just say it's $12 per thousand. So let's just say let's estimate. Let's just estimate. Let's say his pool should be assessed at 40,000 and it was being assessed at 16. So that means there's $24,000 that hadn't been assessed. So $24,000 times 12. $12. That's, am I wrong? Is that only an additional? I can't do the math. Is that only like $288 a year? I think when I looked at it, it wasn't an extraordinary amount of money. However, nobody else has it. Nobody else has their property value assessed that. It's the only one. So if it saves him a little bit of money, it saves him a little bit of money. I don't know anybody that wouldn't want their pool to be assessed at 16,000 if it's a $50,000 pool. You know what I mean? So I actually think his is going to be higher, because what happens is the value of the pool is supposed to depreciate over time. His pool is one of the newer pools that we looked at. It was installed in 2019. So his value should be significantly higher based on it being new and the size and all of those things. So listen, I'm not an assessor. I don't know. I can tell you is that he's the only one that I've seen. If I have to look at every in-ground pool in the town, I will. For how many years? It's been since 2019. Now, again, he is a real estate agent. He owns a real estate company. He teaches real estate classes. So he should know. And I have my own opinion. So as an opinion, based on all of the things I know to be true, I believe he knew. I didn't write that in the article. I can't write in an article. Jameson Souza was aware. He is going to come up with a way to spin it. He is going to tell you what he thinks. He's going to say, it's not my fault. He's going to say, my contractor pulled the permit. I didn't. He's going to say, the board, the building inspector, he approved it. I didn't talk to him about it. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to prove it. You're 100% right. I won't be able to prove any of that. That is why I simply just put out the facts. Let everybody else read all we know facts. Do I have the ability to do an investigation? Can I call Paul Boucher, former building inspector, and ask him? I'm sure Jameson already gave him a heads up, in my opinion. I'm not going to take it that far. All I'm doing is saying, here are the facts. The facts is that of 50 pools that I looked at in Somerset, the square footage that he has is misrepresented on his documents, and he is paying significantly less assessed value than everybody else. I bless and release it. Good luck. By the way, if you think that is the only story that I have about him, you are wrong, because there is another one. And when I talked about this yesterday, that opens the door to another one. And I've got some work to do. So anyway, that story is on my Substack. The timing on things is so peculiar to me. So at a height of a frenzy where people are like shitting all over me and saying you suck and blah, 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 this thing just happened to fall in my lap. And it didn't fall in my lap. Conversations with my Republican town committee on the Monday meeting, where I was kind of like rejuvenating that thing, that committee, that group, started me going back and revisiting an old thing that I knew about him and his property. And then that led to me doing the research at night. And then that led to the phone call. And like, look where we are. You know what I mean? Like, do you get paid for people to read the Substack that aren't subscribers? No, I do not. But we don't do paywalls, because my biggest pet peeve in the world is a paywall on something that I want to use to like educate myself. So no, there's no, based on views, you don't get any revenue or anything like that. So the only way I make money on my Substack is through subscribers. I'm sure, I don't know exactly, because when I look at Substack, it's on my phone, but when you click on it and you read it, at some point in the middle of it, it'll pop up and it'll ask if you want to be a paid subscriber. I think it's $5 a month if you want to click on that. It's $50 a year. And then there's like a one-time founder's fee for $100 to just be a flat like founding sponsor of the Substack. So, but yeah, it's not monetized, so to speak, in that way. It's a great platform. I really, really, really love it. And I'm glad it's there. It's free. So it doesn't cost me anything to use it. Unlike all the other kind of platforms I have, you pay for StreamYard. I pay for YouTube. What's the other one that I pay for? I pay for like CapCut, like the premium, so that I can make clips and videos if I ever use it. Like I pay for all of this. Substack's free. It's really just a wonderful, wonderful platform. I wonder how they make their money. They get a cut of my subscriptions. That's how they get a portion of them. But it's small. I think it's like 2% or something like that. Everybody gets their cut. Just like somebody said, what was it last night? 20%. Look at this fucking So a car just came out of a side street and slammed on its brakes because it almost hit the side of my vehicle, right? And shocker, it is what looks like a Haitian Amazon delivery person in their own car. Shocker. Okay. My heart rate just went so crazy. I mean, he slammed on his brakes. He was like, whatever. Moving on. But don't worry about it, because when you send people to the state and they have no driving experience and you fast track their licenses so that they can work the jobs that they claim nobody else wants to work, and you got to get them on the payroll somewhere, just don't worry about it. Accidents don't happen and it's fine. It's great. We were joking yesterday, I think on Moon's and Ocean's show, about the 20%. Jessica Walsh made this accusation that she and I had some sort of a deal where she would get 20%. I would get 20% of everything that she was monetized for. And that never happened. She maybe said that she wanted to do that, but I never knew about it, nor did I agree about it. And I would never. But then we started joking, and it's like, you know what? What's it called? Some people, is it called the VIG? What's that called? When you get 20%. Will you pay a portion? Listen, yes, the Queen wants 20% of all earnings. 100%. Give me 20% of everything. So Pam is the last part of what I wanted to talk about today. She just said it, and let me take this last sip. All right, let's go in the house and move to the studio. We have to talk about one other thing. Mrs. Saucier and I were talking yesterday, and she said, "Who put up the bird feeders? Georgia?" And I said, "No, me." I said, "I'm sorry, are they bothering you? Do you not like them?" And she went, "No, I love them." She goes, "I watch the birds from my bedroom window." I said, "Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you had an issue with the bird seed." I said, "Because Jeffrey does." And she's like, "Of course not." Hello, Rinkin. Hello, Rinkin. I was going to say Reagan, but I mentioned Lincoln, my sweet boy Lincoln. Hi. I'm assuming you already went out, but I have to pee, so you're going to have to wait. So we're going to pee, then we're going to go outside, let the dogs out, and then we're going to go to the office. Stand by. Yes, Miss Saucier is a legend. Now, yes, Quincy, I know you want to go outside. I suspect Daddy already let you before he left, and I'm being scammed. But let's relocate and go ahead, go. Go, go, go. Miss Saucier also yesterday was saying to me, she goes, "So do you make money doing your show?" So Miss Saucier has children that listen. Shout out to them, by the way. Good morning to you. I don't know if they discuss it when they come over for dinner on Saturdays, but I said I do. And she goes, "Well, that's just lovely." Oh, if you're new here, you don't know the lore about the birdseed. There is a tote somewhere on this property, or maybe not, of birdseed that I bought from my bird feeders that I positioned just in front of my Ring cameras so I could bird watch from the comfort of my my bed. Jeffrey got pissed off because there was birdseed everywhere and he fucking hid it. And so I told the story on my show back when I had the studio, and somebody door dashed, shout out Patrick Higgins, he door dashed birdseed to my house that day. And then other people just started sending birdseed to my house. Jeff hates it. And then naturally, I set up a little bird station in the back of the house because I love birds. So anyway, happy wife, happy life. That's my take on it. So you bet the birdseed is in the basement with a different label on it. Will we ever know? The mice know where it is. Well, there were mice during COVID. I always regret that we had a mouse issue in 2021. And it was because I stockpiled food because of COVID, because I was so scared of not being able to get food. So I had these shelves in my basement with so much food. And the first sign ever was there were little prints near a bag of flour. It was like ratatouille going on in my basement. And so it was really a combination of like birdseed and food that I was stockpiling. So we had to remove all the food from the basement and deplete it. And I don't know why I ever thought that that was I was just inexperience, like I needed to stockpile food. I mean, those were dark times. We couldn't get anything. The great vid famine. Yeah, and it was because I had food in the basement. I mean, we had lived here for years. Why would I ever have food in the basement? But I was just, anytime I went to the store, I would buy more, and put it aside. So anyway, that's long gone. I wonder if we'll ever have to go back to days like that. So Jeff said that the dogs actually have already been out for a while. So anyway, I don't think we need to stay out here with them. But the TT said she is not feeling good, Jess. She needs to pick her up and go to the casino. Speaking of picking up, we have to pick up Julia and Aiden from the airport tonight at 8:30. So just as a reminder, somewhere around 6:30, we're going to do a actual 24 on 24. So if you haven't clicked notifications, please do that. You have to be subscribing to me. Because you have to counteract everything that everybody did over the past. I lost 1,000 subs. God help me. What am I ever going to do? I got so drunk in Laconia this past weekend. I wish I found a nice KMS girl. I am sorry, Smoke, that didn't work out for you. You get little mice when the seasons change. My house was built in 1900. We are a 1906 house. So yes, when it gets cold, Jeffrey sets up all of the traps and stuff like that. But it's just, our house is old. There's a bunch of hawks circling my house right now. All right, we're going to go inside in a second. Rest in peace, 1,000 subs. We'll seance you later. Well, I mean, listen, we hemorrhaged subs over the LTL thing. Also, very similar sentiments. I used to like you. Now I can't watch. And then those people just came back. I'll tell you what, it's really peculiar that I have far less subs than anybody else, but not anybody else. Wrong. Not blanket. I won't make a blanket statement. But how do I have less subs but more views per show than someone who has more subs? How does that work? Hate watchers. That's how it works. The hate watching. There are people that will watch because they hate me. Meowie meow meow meowie meowie meow. Meowie meowie meow. Meowie meowie meow. Meowie meow meow meowie meowie meow. Meowie meowie meow. Meowie meowie meow. A view is a view is a view. All right, let's get the dogs. Let's go inside, and then we're gonna switch over to the computer, and we're gonna talk about something I don't necessarily want to talk about, but I'm sorry, Quincy, you were just about to settle in, but we have to go inside. Oh, don't cry about it. You're the most charming man in the planet. Do you know that? The charming is exuding from your body. The charm. The charmiest. Use a charm, boy. All right, let's go in the house. Reagan? Reagan. Come on, old man. Want to do a pit stop for cheese? Oh, Quincy, I will get it so you don't have to cry. Stand by. Also, fun fact, back when I first started, I didn't have my studio space upstairs in the house. And even during Karen Reed trials, I would write at the dining room table. And then I got my studio, and then we lost that. And then we got perfect amount of cheese already here for you. And then we got the studio inside the house, right? Last night, wow, look at this charming cheese. Good job. All right, let's go upstairs. Last night, I wrote my article on the dining room table. And I wonder if that is part of like the writer's block that I've had all this time, is like writing upstairs in the room doesn't feel right because it was Julia's bedroom. You know what I mean? Good morning, Vincent. Good morning, Mia. You look very pretty today. Oh, thank you, Quincy. Okay. We into office. Okay. So, one of the, you guys can hear me, correct? Yes. Okay, perfect. So, one of the underlying themes to some of the things that have happened over the past couple of days has to do with something that I fundamentally disagree with and refuse to believe exists. And that is, to a certain extent, misogyny, but sexism and these are hard concepts for me because I have always had a feeling in my life that, you know, I'm not at a disadvantage because I'm a woman. I've always felt that I have different advantages because I'm a woman, but it's my job in my life to take advantage of every opportunity and try to like make it the best. So, you know, I've only had two really kind of like jobs outside of small business ownership over my life, and they were with Victoria's Secret and Bank of America. And obviously, Victoria's Secret was a very female-dominated industry as far as employees. But Bank of America, actually, in the role that I was in, which was a banker, not like a teller, was a very male-dominated part of my company. A lot of the bankers at Bank of America were men who had graduated with finance degrees, young kids that were coming out, and it was very male dominated. I know this because when I got hired, I was part of like a group regionally that got hired at the same time. And my demographic was completely exclusive. There was nobody else in this group of like 40 people that got hired around this time in 2016 that was a female in my age. So I basically, again, I always say, number one, a little bit of competition is very healthy for people. And I like competing as long as it is like kind of like done in fun, right?
And also, number two, my biggest competitor is myself. So for me, and also as a conservative and a Republican, like I don't subscribe to feminism. I really do believe like the best place for a mom is at home. So for me to even start getting into like anything having to do with gender when it comes to what's been going on right now goes against like the fiber of my being or whatever. But with that being said, I believe that there is a severe double standard that I have observed here. And it is specifically because I am a female. And it pains me to say that because it's only temporary, I guess. So while, we've watched what's happened to me or whatever, that's not the singular reason why things are happening, because there's a lot of it. And by the way, some of it is because of me and what I'm choosing to say and how I'm choosing to handle it, whether you agree with that or not. But I don't think I can overlook that there is clearly a double standard happening here, that there are a bunch of men out here who do exactly what I do, which is they have a YouTube channel and they speak on their YouTube channel and they give their opinion on their YouTube channel and they say whatever they want when they want on their YouTube channel. And now all of a sudden, I do it and I can't. It's rooted in some sort of like crazy misogyny, and it's rooted in there's a reason why Aiden doesn't do it, because he's an alpha male. I would venture to say that the other male content creators here are not alpha males. And so it's not, I don't think, like if I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, like maybe Aiden has other ulterior motives for not like coming at me or whatever. And he was able to say it, but it came from a different place. When you're watching male content creators crash out and demand apologies from a female content creator, I'm connecting dots here. It's not the only piece to the puzzle, but it's a piece to the puzzle. And I hate to admit it because I don't want people to say like, I'm blaming this now, but like, I don't know if y'all would be talking to me that way if I wasn't a woman. Do you know what I mean? Like it was really last night. It was Will's statement where he said, I'm not just going to let her move on. That is a crazy concept that I don't think he would ever exert over a male. And so this guy is basically out here saying, he's going to not let me move on. He's in charge of how I work through shit. It's crazy. It's also like, I want an apology from her. She needs to give an apology to him. Why? Who are you to demand that? And then who are you to basically say like she has to do that, or I'm just not going to let me move on? That is a crazy sentiment coming from a man towards a woman. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I don't know. I just felt like last night it became something that I really couldn't like, I don't know. It rang the bell and I couldn't unring the bell. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, oh, like this is giving such a weird, like sexist vibe here. I don't know. I hate it because it's not how I feel about it overall in life, I guess. I'm trying to find the exact comment because I want to make sure I got it right. Hold on. Stand by. A pass, LOL. I don't know. Not really sure what's going on. I had to mention that because it was, I don't know. I just don't, again, just don't really feel like it's the right way, but so anyway, that's that. Maybe I said that I was going to like make that into more. Maybe I was like, let's go upstairs and like to discuss something. And then I got up here and then I started saying what I thought. And then I realized there isn't really much more to it. And it's not really like deeper. It's just, there's an undertone of this kind of thing going on here. And it's giving WBSM vibes when I was there and my manager at the time. There were a lot of things that happened to me that didn't happen to other people. And as more time passed, I think about it, there's a little bit of trauma with that situation. And so I don't know, some people who have been here for a long time, so there's, if you've been here for a long time, why is Baker lying so much about it's crazy. Anyway, when I was at WBSM, my manager there was a total misogynist, and I didn't know it at first. The signs were there. I didn't pick up on it. And I felt that now looking back, there were so many signs of things that I saw. I wish I had like a little bit more confidence to go forward, to go to corporate, to say whatever. But like, for example, well, this isn't my opinion, by the way. This is exactly what I was told. Wait, I have my laptop, so let me pull up this and I'll stream from my laptop. That way I can read your super chats because I see them there. So no reason to ignore that where I normally can't do it because I'm on the phone. But we have a laptop, so let's do it. Okay, can you hear me? Perfect. Let me read your super chat. It is from Mermaid Mary. Let me get it on the screen, actually. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Now I'm on my computer. Let's do this. Let's go to this. Let's see. This individual became a YouTube member. Thank you very much. And also sent a super chat and said, "Good morning, haters." Thank you for that. What do I call you? Patterder, patterder. I'm just gonna call you Pat Pat. Not that Haley is a member for 1 month, and she says, "I love it here." Every time I see your picture, from far away, you remind me of a person I know in real life. I know it's not her, but it looks like that. Coco says, has been a member for OG, by the way. No matter what challenges you face, you always bounce back. Thanks, Bestie. She's been here for a long time. And Mermaid Mary says, taking a quick break from work to say your continued success is inevitable because of your, how do I say that, imitable style. Keep swimming, as us mermaids say. Thanks, Mermaid Mary. So, like one example of what this person did. So again, I was just going to say, it wasn't like my take on things. It was what station management said. Shout out to Michael Rock. He spoke on the phone with me many times, especially at the end when things were a little shaky. And he said that he had never heard anybody on the radio like me before, and he's been doing this for 20 years. He said there was never anybody that came into that studio that had the talent that I had the ability to navigate calls on live air like I had. I mean, the compliments from Michael Rock, as well as like actually like Town Square Media management, it's kind of like I've got an ego, but if you sat in an office and you listen to these people in the industry tell you these things, you believe them. But my direct boss, who wanted to be like the main guy there, is talentless. And he's a man who reminds me very much of some of the men that I'm dealing with right now. We're peers, but he made me a competitor. He was jealous. He recognized that he was not nearly as talented. He didn't have the fan base that I had. He did not have the calls into the show that I had. And he began to like undermine my show and do things to prevent me from succeeding. For example, every single person who worked there who had a show had access to the direct messages from listeners. So they had a line that you could send messages to, and when you would do your show, you had access to that platform and you could read the messages from people, and then you could respond in real time. And it was set up so that people who were on the station website could contact you without having to go through social media or whatever. And when I first started, I had access to it, and then somewhere along the way, my access was taken away. And anytime I would say, "Hey, I can't get access to this," they would say, "Oh, it's broken," or "Oh, we'll get it fixed," or "Oh, I got to call IT." And I lost it for months, months and months and months, and I never regained it. While every other person who had a show was able to interact with their listeners through portal that the station established for communication, I was the only one that didn't have access to it. And it was absolutely insane and frustrating. And for those of you who have been listening to me since the BSM days, you'll know that I ultimately just gave out my phone number. And I was like, there's no other way for me to communicate with people. You can also text me at give them my 401 number, because I was like, I don't know, like I'm being cut out of the option to connect. So whatever, I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and that's it. So I figured out a way out of it. But there were other things. And then I most notably, which many people remember the story, if you're new here, you haven't heard it. But he also, I can't believe I'm saying this, because now like these are, it's so crazy. Am I going in and out? Oh no. Hold on. Are you guys having a difficult time hearing me? Okay, we went back to our phone. I don't know exactly what was going on, but it's not worth it. So, okay, that should be better, everybody. Now I have it up on my screen so I can see you guys, but we're going to use my phone. I fixed it. Better. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I jumped on my laptop. I just plugged it in. I'm not really sure, but we'll just leave it at that. Karen is a new YouTube member for the first time. That's impossible. How could you be? Bolasketti's been here for a while and says, not a fair weather fan. Don't change. Bolasketti has been here for a very long time. So if you don't know, the story, the manager who I was just discussing, who also had a bit of an ego, had a bit of a problem, with me, competition, and all those things like that. He had an obsession with nylons, and he talked about his obsession with nylons with me as an employee. So he was my direct boss. I didn't pick up on it at first. In the beginning, I wasn't sure what I was dealing with. And you're trying to be polite. And sometimes, so two things happen. One, the number one default emotion is I do not let that situation have any power over me and how I view my life right now whatsoever. And I do not even think about myself like as being responsible for any of what happened. And that was probably a little bit of why I never spoke up about what happened with this guy. But at some point, and I don't know when it was, maybe probably last summer or something, I took some time to go back and review all of my communications with this person from the minute they became my boss until the minute he was no longer my boss. And my biggest regret is I did not take legal action against him and Town Square Media. That is my biggest regret. I have a case for sexual harassment in the workplace that is open and shut. Essentially, he even went so far as to tell me to make sure I, took my scheduled breaks, or else he was going to strangle me with a pair of nylons. I retained everything. I have all of the screenshots of everything. He is an absolute disgusting pig. He is a misogynist. He thought he had control over me. He wanted control over me. He found ways to control me. And it was all rooted in jealousy and competition. And I should have fucking sued them. I should have sued him. And it is the biggest regret. I have never fully told the story. I have never shared the text messages because there is a level of, what is the word? It's very hard for me to believe that I allowed myself to be victimized by this person because it wasn't that long ago and I'm a very strong woman. And it just goes to show that in the environment and where I was and my being so naive and being green, I was maybe so nervous and I didn't feel like I had the place to be able to cause a scene. You know what I mean? I didn't think that I should have right away, right at the beginning when this started happening. How could I, having been gifted this opportunity and this job, how could I ever, within a matter of a couple of months, then go knock on the door and be like, hi, thanks for hiring me and giving me this big break, but something's not right here. I didn't have it in me at the time. And also, admittedly, I enjoyed my job so much that I was afraid that I was going to lose it. And so I was like, I guess I can handle it because I'm getting what I want out of it. And that is a weird fuzzy line where people would say, well, it was okay for you to deal with it when you were getting your show and then you got another show and then you were on the air 6 days a week and you overlooked it and it really wasn't a problem for you. It was always a problem for me. It was always a problem for me and it was always wrong. And I even I never asserted myself in any of these messages to him to say, don't talk to me that way. Who the fuck do you think you are? I never, ever asserted myself. You'll see when you read the messages, I'm not, what's the way I'm saying? I'm basically just being polite, but I never, I don't have the confidence that I have today. that I had. Like I didn't have it. And when I look back at these messages and I realize what this fucking scumbag was getting away with and the undercurrent of control, and because he was in a position of power, he was my boss. I it's unbelievable, and the fact that he's still there. And I can't blame the station management because they don't know. I do pay attention. There are no other women. By the way, I was the first woman to ever have a show on that channel, and there has not been a woman since. I was in an arena with all men and came in and really shined and became a threat, in particular to him. And I don't know, it's fucked up. And so I'm not saying anything other than there's some similarities in what happened back then that are happening to me today, and similar personalities. And it's adding to that feeling of sexism and misogyny. I don't want to label it as such, but again, I just don't believe if I were a male, some of these things would be happening. They can happen. It doesn't matter to me. Obviously, you can tell. I don't care. But okay, you can do what you want. I'm not going to tell you can't. Everybody can do whatever they want and say what they want. I see Star. Thanks for coming a new YouTube member. Those things are unheard of. New members are weird. How's that happen? Well, just look at what Aiden says. What does he say? All right, I actually really enjoy being in the office because then I can be on the screen and I can like check comments and notifications. Let me read. Hey, boss bitch, how did we do last night? Scott and another content creator, they did a live stream. I think it was Scott's first one, if I'm correct. And he sounded fantastic. He sounded like he had been doing it a long time. And aesthetically, it looks really great. I admittedly did not get to listen to the whole thing, but I did listen for a bit. I don't think it was quite at the beginning. I jumped in a little bit late. But Scott seems to be very confident, and I know his counterpart has been doing it for a while. But I thought it went well for a first show, and Scott seems very comfortable and confident, which is great. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get these comment sections up. By the time we're old enough to find our voice, it's too late. We just have regrets of not saying anything. That's why the Me Too movement actually worked. Yeah. I've been in here a lot longer, but I was just gifted a membership a month ago. Oh, hi, Haley. Let's see. People look to the vulnerable to exploit and harass. Predators have radar like that. I don't know. Do I give vibes like I'm vulnerable? I think I give vibes like I'm green and approachables, I guess, right? I don't know the name of the show. If Scott's in the chat, he can say it. Mrs. Rossi gifted memberships. Thanks, Mrs. Rossi. You need to put everything into context and ID who's who. A lot of it is just a bit and going off the deep end. I don't take any of it seriously, but all of a sudden it is with you. Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. We're fine. Um, it's crazy. It's wild. All right. So, Coffee with Karen is the name of the show on YouTube. All right, let me take a, we never get to do this, but let's take a peek on X while we are here together. We kind of got to everything on the agenda. We have another show later today when I go pick up Julia, so we're not going totally crazy, but let's, it's just sad how everything is going. If you listened to my show yesterday, I did not address any of what's going on because by Tuesday I had moved on. So I addressed it Tuesday morning. I really just basically laid out the foundation of where we were. I'm going to continue to stick with that. We've moved on. Apparently, it seems like there are people that are saying they are not going to let me move on and that I don't have the luxury of moving on and that I said some things that don't give me the right to move on, but we are moving on. We addressed those things today because they directly relate to the interactions I had with Will last night. I'm not going to drag Will, not going to disparage Will, but I just, my message to Will is that he is severely mistaken that he has any jurisdiction over my ability to move past this. I read the rooms. I'm paying attention more than I ever have. And the number one takeaway I get from this is people on both sides want to move on. I'm watching comments. I am seeing Baker perpetuate his anger towards me in comment sections. I refuse to do that. I am watching content creators continue to talk about this and drag me. That is perpetuating it. And if you look at the regular average person, they want to move on. Even people who are not supporters of me want to move on. So we've moved on. I'm getting dragged back into it. And it seems to me people are exerting some sort of authority over me to say that I can't move on. I think that's crazy. So I'm just going to continue to do what I do and focus on other things. And it's what I'm going to do. You want to keep doing it because maybe it works for you. Okay. I'm not going to do it. So it's very peculiar. And listen, I would want to take me out too. You want to take out somebody at the top, of course. Or here's an idea, just level yourself up, level up your shows, level up, make it look and sound better. You know what I mean? Do content that doesn't relate to this. I am a drama queen and I talk about drama all the time, but at least I try to find balance with stuff that is not related to drama. At least I can balance it out. You know what I mean? With other stories or interesting things or skits or whatever. Some of you, it's all you do. I don't know. It's just, I'm over it. I think everybody's over it. And it's very sad to see that people in a position of leadership like Will's criticizing me and saying, you're well liked and you have a platform and you have all these people and you used it to say, things about a certain other content creator. Well, how are you any different by saying you're going to use your platform to stop me from moving on from it? I mean, it's just fucking hypocritical central, dude. It's just ridiculous and stupid. And by the way, I maintain and go back that the statements that I did make about him, the context of how I made them, the brevity of the comments, these weren't long segments. And YouTube presentations. They were on 24 on 24 as part of a stream of consciousness based on comments I was seeing in the chat. The fact that people are, the way these people are acting, they're acting like it was some sort of premiere episode of Bunny After Dark where we had a fucking whiteboard and we were putting on a clinic about it. It's very, where is the clarity on this where it was just I was talking about other things. I was seeing the chat. I mentioned something. It was offhanded comments. There was no anything about it. And people are framing this like it was a hit job. And you don't want me to start extracting from your shows what you guys are doing. and framing those things in the same manner, because it'll be a clinic in hypocrisy. The fact that people are taking things out of context, they're inflating things, they're using different words, different languages, and really it's all Baker. He's the one that's doing it, and everybody, because he is liked, is adding on, and it is so flagrant. It's crazy and it's wild. And I guess Will is right to some extent. He wasn't going to let me move on, because here I am, I'm addressing that and talking about it. But it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Hold on one sec. I had one other thing that I wanted to mention. Okay. Good morning. I'm reaching out to you for your recommendations that you would like the Board of Selectmen to consider for the annual appointment of the Registrar of Voters. Please respond no later than Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. I anticipate this being on the June 18th Board of Selectmen agenda. Let's respond to this. So would you guys like to learn? Let's learn about a couple of things, because some people could never. So in the town of Somerset and most styled communities, we have a board of registrars. And the registrars are supposed to be 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And I'm just going to pull up this email. Hold on. So what a registrar does is they kind of oversee the official records of the town, and they kind of are the eyes over compliance, especially around elections and things like that. So our town has 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and we're on a staggered election of them. The Republican Town Committee, if there is one, has the ability to make a suggestion to the Board of Selectmen on who they would like to be the Republican registrar when they are up for appointment. So now, while they have to be a party, so 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, they really can't be involved in politics, so to speak. They can't be actively working on a campaign. They kind of have to stay out of the hands-on thing having to do with specific campaigns, because they're involved with registering voters, certifying nomination papers for candidates, processing absent voter applications, and then they also oversee any type of election recounts if they take place. So in our town, we have our town clerk, Caitlin. She is a Democrat. She serves. And I don't know if, I think it's always the town clerk has to be one, I think, right? And then if that person is a Democrat, then the other positions are as such. I'm not sure how that works. We have Barry Sullivan. He's the other Democrat. His term ends June 30th of 2027. Sherry Vale Turner, she is a Republican. She's on our Republican Town Committee. She was just appointed last year, I believe, or the year before, and her term ends in 2028. Currently up for appointment is the slot that is currently held by Republican Joseph Costa. And our committee will be making a recommendation that it not be him moving forward. There are several reasons for that. I won't disclose them, but he will not be who we recommend. So let me send a message in response to this. We're going to just do this together. Reply. Good morning. I will consult with our members and get back to you by the end of business day tomorrow. As we have never done this before, should we provide an email with our recommendations to just you or to the Board of Selectmen as well? Thank you. Okay, so there's that. And then I also just received, so from my Substack article where I requested some public records relating to the property of former Selectman Souza. I received an email from the town clerk saying she is in receipt of my public records request. I forwarded to the appropriate departments. Should there be a fee associated with this request, you will be contacted in advance with a good faith estimate in advance of filing this request by the department who may have records in response. Please be reminded the town has 10 business days to respond to your request. We respond to every email so that they know that I read it, because people are tricky like that. Thanks for the update. So there's that. I got an email from YouTube that says, here's how your channel did last month, May 1st to May 31st. Bunny After Dark was my most watched video. I uploaded only 32 new uploads in the month of May, as opposed to my 42 in April. Great work. We had 77 new subscribers in the month of May. Total views, 197,000 and 7.8 million minutes watched. I just clicked on the thing to like bring it over to my dashboard. I haven't looked at it in a couple days, really just because obviously everybody's saying I'm hemorrhaging subs, so I don't want to really take a look at it or whatever, but everything is still green on here. Everything is still moving green. Looking good. Your channel subscriber count continued to climb, but not as fast as usual. Huh. What affected your channel's performance last month? Less uploads than the previous month. And I got higher views from people who aren't subscribed than normal. So I had 58,000 views from people who do not subscribe to my channel. So right there, it's basically the outlining, and it shows where it would normally fall. It should fall around 22,000. I had 58,000 views from people who are not subscribed. So that is the hate watching showing me it in real time. And then I had very few subscribers in May, and I typically range between, which is crazy, I typically range between 350 and 800 subscribers per month. We got some work to do, I guess. Bunny After Dark was 1, 2, 3, my top 3 videos of the month. That's interesting. I just haven't looked at any of this for a while. Let me just take a peek while I'm here, since I was going through my emails. All right. I'm getting blamed for everything. Is someone, so yeah, somebody saying I'm responsible for some swatting thing. If anybody, just do me a favor. I normally wouldn't activate anybody like this, but if anybody catches any person saying on a stream, like, and I'm talking a content creator, saying that I was responsible or that they thought I was responsible, clip it, because I will, that's the kind of thing I'm not going to allow to skate. You can say I'm fat, you can say I'm a bitch, you can say whatever you want, but you're not going to fucking say I did something like that, you weirdos. Like, there will be fucking repercussions for that. So choose your words very, very fucking carefully. And that is a threat. If you even remotely suggest on your monetized platform that I was responsible for some sort of a swatting call with police, wherever you people were, which I don't know, it will not go over well for you. So I dare you. Galera posted on X a few days ago that I was responsible. What? I'm not talking okay, like if there's like a burner account or a person or whatever, that doesn't count. Don't worry about that. I'm not, although I think it is irresponsible, but I'm talking someone with a platform that, like, you just let me know. The expert said it too. I'm not going to listen. So here, I love you all, but I'm not going to listen to like hypotheticals. If you have a receipt, you know exactly where to send it. So send it to me. Oh, I just realized we have a banner at the bottom of this that needs to go away. I'm sorry. Let me remove the banner. Hide. Let me put up this one. There you go. If someone said that I did it, just let me know. Thank you. Sphinx. So aligning with everything that I'm doing, and my investigations, which people, careful what you ask for. You want me to get back to it? Because I think what's going to happen is I'm going to do this, right? What I do, my stream of consciousness, we're doing Bunny After Dark. We're revamping that, but we're also going to start like going back to you're right. Some people are right. You're a great investigative journalist, but you don't get just that. You get it all. So let's talk about a story that I am working on. Would you like to hear it? You have to lock in. I can't see. I don't want anything in the comment section that's distracting. We're about to get on business. Okay. All right. So, I have covered extensively the migrant crisis in Massachusetts, and I was really ground zero when nobody was covering it. I was at the Taunton Clarion Hotel. I was visiting the hotel. I have video of me recording myself going in and getting kicked out of the hotel, of them having the police come and escort me out of the building, because I wanted to try to get access to something that was happening here that nobody seemed to be talking about, which was an influx of migrants in Massachusetts at the expense of taxpayers. So, I would probably venture to say, like, myself and John Featherston have the most depth when it comes to understanding of what exactly was going on at that time. And it was just because of like some sheer tenacity and also John Featherston's ability to be a whistleblower and, working as a hotel shelter manager. He was able to see firsthand what was happening. And then he basically blew the lid off of it. He contacted me, who he knew through Mass GOP, and was like, "You're really not going to believe what's going on here." And I was already kind of doing my own work, but he really pushed me towards like where to go. Like, you should ask about this, you should do this. So unfortunately, I didn't have a big enough platform to be able to break some of the stories that John had, but he ultimately ended up going to Newsmax, the Boston Herald. And, we really were able to, like, it seemed like there was a lot of reporting going on in 2024 about the migrant crisis, so much so that I was awarded Journalist of the Year at a Lincoln Reagan dinner from my party because it was just nonstop work. But things changed in 2025 when Maura Healey said that she was going to close all of the hotel shelters. And because of that, access was extremely limited. We really didn't have these places to go because the hotels were closed. So I've maintained, where do these people who were in these shelters, who weren't working, who were living on the system, where were they going once the shelters closed? And it's a very hard thing to get information on. I have a bunch of public records requests out there. We're really not, it's way harder than what it was before. And it's an election year, so there's a lot of red tape. However, I was able to connect with a person who is giving me some insight to what is happening in their apartment building. So let me read to you my original message that I received. And it was, "Could you please tell me if there is any cap in what the state pays for rent under the home-based program?" And I believe that they sent this message when I had posted about the home-based program. And so they saw a post about it and they messaged me and asked, was there any cap in what the state pays for rent under this program? They said, "I moved into a luxury apartment building that began renting in late of 2024. I have a home-based recipient living above me, a mother and a young child, occupying a 3-bedroom, $5,500 a month apartment." Now that the weather is warm, I can see that there are several other migrant families out in the afternoon enjoying the outdoor pool and lounge area, while the rest of us are working to pay for their luxurious lifestyle. And they were basically wanting to know how much more I knew about the program. And I said, I basically responded and said, I can really learn a lot more about what's going on if I can get some more specific details from you, if you're willing to share. Obviously, much of what I'm going to be saying is redacted, so it doesn't give any inclination as to where or who this is. Because we need to protect the person who is sharing the information. But we are able to get, now I took my time, I authenticated this individual. I am not just taking this as on face value. I had to take some time to review the statements that they were making, but also authenticate who they are. And I have been able to do that. So I'm going to leave out the location of the building. I'm not allowed to say the name of it. I'm not allowed to say where it is. They're saying that this building is in particular a good case study. And there are portions about this property that make it a very prime example of what's happening. So we've got to leave out the details. Now this is one of several buildings that I'm aware of, but we're going to just leave it. The primary reason that the individual reached out to me was because they had a concern about limits of how much Massachusetts is spending on rent for these families. The state figure, from what they've read, seems very low based on what they've observed. Their personal experience is what seems like a mother and a young child, so 2 people that are currently occupying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with the base rent of around $5,500 a month. This individual has been living below them, and based on the foot noise and observations, that they have never been able to see that there was more than 2 people living in the apartment. Their understanding is that the individual has occupied the apartment since the building opened. I'm going to skip this part. I have to skip this part as well. Hold on. The child does not attend school, but is of school age. Stand by. Now with the warmer weather, the outdoor pool and patio opening for the summer, I have an unfortunate clearer picture of a freeloader population that has emerged. Things like groups of Haitians that are outside at 2:00 in the afternoon, grilling what looks like hundreds of dollars of red meat in batches, seeing the usual suspects outside lounging around in the sun all day while the rest of us work to pay for it. I don't suspect that any of this is related to affordable units in the complex, as the rents are high enough that a decent income is still required to live here. My rationale for moving here was the expectation that rents were expensive enough that there was no way that the Healy administration would ever be spending this much money to stash homeless and illegals in the complex. It baffles me just how many Massachusetts voters are oblivious to the fact that their tax dollars are being used to provide freeloaders a totally free lifestyle that far exceeds their own lifestyle that is attainable through hard work. We are talking upper to middle class or better living at zero cost. The apartment next to mine requires an annual income of around $220K a year to be approved by the management company for the lease. So let me read that again. The apartment that they are referencing requires an annual income of approximately $220K a year with a based rent on 30% of gross income to be approved by the management company for a lease. If we're adding in the free furniture, free healthcare, free food, and whatever other things get thrown in, you are talking true luxury living. I'm going to end on what calling out looks like a burgeoning truancy issue amongst this cohort of residents. Just talking today, which is a school day, I'm typing this during school hours, there are several moms with at least 2 children who are clearly of school age, hanging out on the warm late spring day, enjoying the pool and the patio. And I am sure that the state would not give a crap if it was reported. So that was the original message that I received from this individual. And after I authenticated this, because at first it sounded too good to be true that I would have access to this kind of information, it's indeed accurate. This is a person who is renting an apartment in a luxury building. I have the location. I know exactly where it is. I was able to go on the website and take a look at the cost of living there. It is correct. And for this individual to go there, move there, and then have a population of individuals who are getting their rent subsidized for them. But what this person's real question is, how is it that it is sustainable? So, the direct observation of a mother and a child, the mother does not work, the child is not in school, and they have been there, and I don't want to say the exact time, but per their calculations and then mine, based on what we're hearing you should get from Homebase, they've exceeded it. They've exceeded it. So as we predicted, Homebase will eventually run out. So then what happens? Do they continue to subsidize the rent? Are you going to start seeing evictions? If they leave here, then where do they go? Now, this is just one example of what, somebody has been able to share. We can authenticate and then use their observations and then put it together. But this is not just one person. This is not one place. And I guess the question is, will we ever be able to really get to the bottom of what this process looks like? How are they able to move these people into luxury apartment buildings with rent that's $5,500 a month, subsidized, even if they are paying 30% of that? In order to qualify for the 30%, you need to be having an income of $220,000 a year. So, let's just say the rent is $5,000 and you're going to pay 30%. That's still $1,500. If you're not working, how are you even coming up with that amount? The state would be subsidizing the remaining balance of the $5,000. So the state is paying $3,500 and the person living there is paying $1,500. How is the state paying based on the move-in date? They far exceeded the dollar amount that they would get through Homebase. Homebase would have been exhausted, per my calculations, within the first, let me just add it up. Like in the first 6 months, around approximately. So even if the equation as it is designed is what it is, so let's pull it. Let's pull it. Let's do it together. So Massachusetts Home-Based Program provides up to $30,000 in financial and housing assistance over a 2-year period. And we had already heard people talking about how it was getting eaten up very quickly. So let's take this one apart and break it down together. So this is a 2-bedroom. I'm going to Google the name of the building. I'm going to pull it right up. And I'm going to get it. Here it is. Absolutely crazy that I'm even looking at this is the location where this is happening. So, so they're showing me currently right now a sample floor plan for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath is, well, I don't want to say exactly it because then people will know where I'm talking. So we're going to limit that. But let's just take a peek at one floor plan. Okay. So let's just average. We're even going to go on the low end. We're going to say, fuck it, let's do it live. All right, so let's do this one. We're going to do a 2-bedroom. We can't do a 2. Let's say a 3 because that's what we have as fact. So let's do a 3-bedroom. Can I get a pen that writes? Thank you. 3-bedroom. I'm going to change the dollar amount on here so nobody can figure out what I'm talking about. So we're going to do a 3-bedroom is $4,000. Let's just say $200. Okay. Homebase gives you $30,000. If you based on home base or whatever, you've got to pay 30% of the 4,200 that we made up. So 4,200, 30% of that. So you've got to pay $1,260 a month. So that's what you're paying. That's what the person is paying. And the state is subsidizing $2,940. And then if they're only giving you 30,000 divided by 2,940, you are getting 10 months of rental assistance based on home base. So let's just work through this. If the individual moved in which I have that information, October of 2024, at the same time as the individual's. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. The building opened in October of 20. Nope, that's not even right. What am I reading here? Let me read this again. 305, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's just start it with January of 2025. This would only get them home base based on what it is. This individual would only be able to get through October. And that, by the way, is still paying $1,260 a month for their portion of the rent, which is 30%, but the individual does not work. So let's figure this out. So you have a family that is a migrant family. They get moved into a luxury apartment building where the rent is, what did we say it was for their unit? $4,200. The state used home base to put them in there with a $30,000 home base program, up to $30,000 over the course of 2 years. But the rent is so high that the home base is actually subsidizing $2,940 a month based on our low calculations. And over the course of only 10 months, they would run out of money. So that would have been last October. So now December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So it's been 7 months. According to home base, they would not have home base money anymore. So this individual has been paying or should be paying at $4,200 a month, 7 months worth of rent, which means $29,000. This person who is a single mother is living in a luxury apartment who does not work, has been able to afford $29,000 in rent over the past 7 months. Can anybody who hates me give me an alternative way of how I'm looking at this? I'm very serious. I'm asking for someone who's hate watching, come out of the shadows. Do I have this wrong? Is there any other way that I can look at this? And this is based on real life data, real life observations. We've gone so far as we have the individual works from home and sees this person. Am I wrong? Is there another way to look at this? You can show me the schedule that you have for what? It's real? The apartment is probably an affordable unit. The rent is less. Well, Let's click on the affordable housing link that they have on the website. They offer apartments where you can pay rent and only pay 60 and 80% of your average median income. There is a waitlist application. Please visit this website for additional information. You can complete a waitlist application. Contact us. Okay. Okay. I guess let's make a call. Fuck it, let's do it live. Right? Get ready to take notes. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. I'm on your website, and I just had some questions. I'm wondering if you can help me learn a little bit more about the affordable housing opportunities you have at your location. My name is Jessica. I have some flexibility with that. Someone had recommended your location, and it would be the first time that I was doing any research on like the opportunities for affordable housing. I saw that there is a wait list. So I guess my first question is, how long of a wait list is that? Okay. So can you explain the 80%? Does that mean I'm paying 80? How does that work? So let's just say I want to look at so there's a wait list for the 60, but what does the 80% mean? How does that work? It would be 2. Okay. Oh, mhm. So if it was me and my daughter, The income limit for me would be 105,000 or, right? So 1,000, okay, so let's just say 105,000 a year. And my rent would be based on 80% of that. How does that work? Oh, I have to just be within 80% of that 105,000. I got it. So if I make, got it, I got it. So if I make 81,000, I would probably fall into that category because it's like around 80%. And if I did, then I would qualify for the dollar amount that you say for the 2-bedroom, which was what, 2195. But I have to obviously, so I have to prove my income that I'm within the 80%. Okay, that makes sense. So then my next question is there anything that is excluded for income? Like what if I am receiving benefits? So you know what I mean? So currently right now, yeah. I don't want to say too much, but. Mhm. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I've been on their website. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. How far back in income do you look? Did you say? So 2 years. You need to see income that has been within that range over the past 2 years in order to qualify. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. So you just said it was pretty rigorous, is what you said. It does sound like it. It is, there's a lot of vetting and things that go on to this. Okay. Right. Yeah. Um, I'm not from there, so I don't know. I would be relocating. So then my next question would be, if I was a recipient of any type of home base or raft programs, is that something that you would allow, or is that a disqualifier? Yep. Okay. Um, I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. I think that's probably it. Um, when I called, I noticed that you guys have an option for you to click if you want to take a tour. And there were times. I didn't click on that first because I wanted to speak to a person. I'm just not sure what my availability is right now, and I'm not sure how soon I would need to be doing anything. But how often do you do tours, or is it possible every day for someone to come and take a look at the building? Okay. Okay. Okay, so it'd have to be Saturday. Okay. Okay. I'm right on your website, so I see all of the I see everything. It's right in front of me. Yeah, I just wanted to talk to a person. So I see the link for the affordable waitlist application. I see that right here. I see exactly where to send it. I'm taking a look at that right now. Okay. All right. You answered a lot of my questions, and the rest of it I think I can figure out. Okay. Awesome. Okay. What's your name? Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks. My name was Jessica. All right. Thank you. Okay. You too. Bye. All righty. Yikes. So I know that you only heard that on one side, but when I asked about home base or raft, she was very enthusiastic, and she was like, yep, absolutely. We have residents in our building that use those two programs, and it will help lower your monthly rent to make it more affordable for you. The words that she used prior to me asking about raft or home base or anything like that is she said that it was a quote rigorous vetting process, that you must show 2 years of income. So 2 years of previous income in order to be considered, and that they do take in all income, whatever they may be. So if you're just joining me, we had a person who reached out to me after I was discussing raft and home base. And it seemed to me like in my initial conversation with the person, they understand like raft and home base and what they can be used for and the intent of them, but they were really questioning like how long this program is subsidizing individuals, because based on their calculations and how long someone was there, them not working, and other things, they felt as if it had exceeded what home base says they would provide, which was up to $30,000 over 2 years. And based on everything that we can see online and based on the conversations we had, I would not understand how an individual could have possibly, like on the surface, let's just go over this. If this person was a migrant and they were living in a hotel shelter, and so there's a lot here we have to talk about. So this I know firsthand. At the Taunton Hotel, they were all living at the hotel, and everybody had like a caseworker there, and they also had people that worked there at the hotel. They were a management company hired by the state of Massachusetts. Eliot is one, for example, and they would basically run these hotels and provide like the management of them. At one point, there was a shift where they started to tell the residents you needed to start looking for housing, because Maura Healey was going to be closing the housing shelters. So I spoke with actual migrants who were living there, homeless people that were living there at the Taunton Hotel, and I also spoke with John Featherston. And basically what would happen is they were given a list. So you had to go to your worker and you had to show that you were actively looking for housing. But for these migrants who had just literally crossed the border a year ago and were living in a hotel the whole time, and many of which didn't have jobs, they didn't know where to go. So they were given a list of properties that they could apply for housing for. Some people were really, actively working on getting out of the hotels. They wanted to move to these apartments. And the location that I just told you would have been one of the ones that was listed. We can cross-reference this by, if we go over to the Massachusetts, let's do it right now in real time. So if you go to the state's website, there would be, and I believe it's under the home base or whatever, it's under one of these things. They have a list of properties that you can connect to. And many of these properties, and I'll cross-reference this, but I'm pretty sure this property was located on there. So migrants were given a website. You go to the website and it would be like, get on these wait lists, start applying, get over there. And they would go to these websites and they would apply. And some of these migrants would actually get into these luxury apartment buildings. And shout out to anybody in Somerset, the brand new ones next to Starbucks, they have a certain portion of them that have to be based on income with the AMI, the 60% or 80%. And so these migrants would go and they were told to apply and then to disclose that they were getting home base and that they were whatever their income was at the time. And it's the back end of it that I don't understand is, how could any of these apartment buildings, like the one that I just talked to, ever willingly accept somebody who has, migrant status, isn't working, is basically getting all of their benefits through food stamps and TDAF, and have home base and not have like the ability to afford these rents, even let's just say after home base ran out? Like, are you telling me that a migrant who is living in the shelter, let's just walk through that process even in the beginning. Let's just say they get pushed through, right? And Maura Healey's offices are saying, listen, to all of these locations, take 10, right? Take 10 of the first families and we're going to give them home base or whatever. And they push them through. Let's just say that happens. Are you telling me that a migrant who came from Haiti in the Joe Biden administration is making $225,000 combined, a husband and a wife, to live in these apartments after home base runs out? How is that possible? In order for my daughter to even make $110,000 a year, she had to get a master's degree. How are you a migrant? Maybe it's possible. I'm not being racist. I'm just saying, based on my own experience, how are you making $110,000 as a migrant coming here from Haiti with nothing? What job are you getting? And if that is the case, then how are these people taking these jobs away from Massachusetts residents who are here, who also don't have the education or the experience? And how is this happening? How is this happening? I don't get it. I don't know. And so when I received these messages from this individual about this location, I did a little bit of the research to basically authenticate the person, right? Because I'm not going to take info from someone that's not legit. So it's a process when you're doing real investigative journalism, by the way, which people just seem to think that I'm not capable of. And then some people pretend that they actually have. The layers of this are like extraordinary. And it takes a long time. It's time consuming. But I don't know. I have way more questions than we have answers. I can tell you one of the things that I can do is I could probably now go and put in a public records request for home base payments to the specific address, possibly. I work with Haitian CNAs that make $100,000, but they are working 60 hours a week. Well, so then it is possible, but in this instance, this person is not working. I guess it's possible. So you were working with a Haitian CNA that makes $100,000 a year that came here during the Biden administration? I would love more information. I mean, I would like to cross-reference things. I'd like to see the other side. Is it working? Are there people that came here that are now thriving? I would love to know more about that. I just think that home base is subsidizing much, much longer. Much, much longer. The NGOs, it's so vast. It is actually, I don't actually know if I have the skill set, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know if I have the ability to do it. I did an investigative piece last year on the Bristol County development. What's the name of it exactly? Because it's got a weird name. Bristol County Economic Development. So Bristol County Economic Development Consultant, they are an NGO. The executive vice president is Ken Fiola. His wife is Carol Fiola. She is a state representative for Fall River, where Ken has this company. And this NGO has their hands in so much stuff. We don't have the time. It's 10:30 in the morning. I haven't eaten a thing. And I would not be able to move forward with this. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's all I'm going to say. It's absolutely insane. The connections that what their hands are in, what they do. It's so deep. I don't even know how we could break it down for everybody. It's so hard. I think I said that one, but thank you. Know Thy Enemy said, I was a barber for 30 years. I had a hip replacement last year. I have a lower back issue, so I cannot stand and cut hair anymore. Losing the only job I know. For me to get housing, it would take 4 to 5 years. Bullshit. I think the only way to stop NGOs is to take them down one by one by one. And if you take just one and you have someone like me that really exposes it and pulls it back, and shows what it's about and pressures politicians and lawmakers to not interact with them, the best you can do is hope for one. The real way to counteract any of this is elections, in my opinion. Let me see if I can get something for you. Show something. There's a crazy story going on about the Ipswich High School, because the boys had cigars in their mouth, and now they couldn't play in a lacrosse game, and it's pissing a lot of people off. Let me get this.
State Representative Carol Fiola. She represents the city of Fall River for the 6th Bristol District at the State House. This is her husband, Ken Fiola. He is the president of this company, a nonprofit called Bristol County Economic Development Consultants. Keep that in mind. This is the newly developed land in Fall River on the Route 79 Duval Street corridor. It is currently under the purview of the Department of Transportation and the Fall River Redevelopment Authority Board. But the Redevelopment Authority has a contract with Ken Fiola's consulting company, which helps oversee the project. But recently, Carol Fiola introduced this legislation that would take this land and transfer its ownership from the DOT exclusively to the Redevelopment Authority. The Redevelopment Authority, of course, has a contract with her husband's company, the Bristol County Economic Development Consultants, to develop the property. To some, this bill proposes a conflict of interest where Ken Fiola could financially benefit from this bill if it's passed. But believe it or not, this isn't the only bill that Representative Fiola has introduced that has direct ties to her husband. This bill right here, introduced by Representative Fiola, is in regards to the state pier that is located in Fall River. The state pier has a board of directors, but they've hired a company to oversee all of the operations of the pier. And you guessed it, it's Ken Fiola's company. New legislation proposed by Carol Fiola introduces wind energy to the state pier, once again proposing potential conflicts of interest where her husband could financially benefit. So what's your take? Do you think there is a conflict of interest between the bills proposed by State Representative Carol Fiola and her husband's consulting business? Let us know in the comments.
You know, just a little bit of work that I've done, no big deal. Do you understand like the tenacity it takes for someone to take a tip and say, wait, Carol Fiola is doing something about a bill? Do you even know where to find the bill? Does anybody know where to look up bills that your state representatives are submitting for consideration? You have to go and find the bill online, and they're all named with numbers and they're very hard to find. So you have to do research based on the person and look through everything that they're submitting. And then you find the bill, and then you have to read it and understand it. And then after you find the bill that's proposing this, you have to go and find the contracts for the NGO with the city of Fall River. And do you know how you find that? A public record request. So then you submit a public records request and say, I would like a copy of the contract between Ken Fiola's company and the city of Fall River. And then you finally get it. And then you have to make sure what you're reading. And in that video, you can see I circled it and I'm like, here is a contract between Ken Fiola's company. Then you got to look at the terms of the contract. And you have to like maybe reach out to people and say, can you explain this to me? Because I really don't get it. But essentially, the city of Fall River pays Ken Fiola a big chunk of money every month to run its redevelopment committee. It's redevelopment board. The board is useless. Ken Fiola, he runs all the meetings. How do I know that? I go on YouTube and I type in redevelopment authority meetings, and I go in and I painstakingly screenshot every single solitary meeting with the date for the past 3 years. And there's Ken Fiola sitting in front of the board, and he's basically telling everybody what should be happening and what they should do. The board are a bunch of people that have been put in place by the mayor or whoever, and they just sit there and they listen to Ken Fiola. And then you take that, and then you take the bill, and then you take the contract, and then you take that, and then you go, well, there's another bill. Let's look at this one. And oh, now it has to do with the pier. Let's go look at that one. And then you build that one out. Let me see the contract. Let me see the meetings. Let me see the board of directors. Let me see all of it. And then you take all of that and you stare at it probably for 2 weeks and you go, how the fuck did I get here? How is this possible? How is this happening? And then you sit there, and if you care about where you live, you look at it and you get frustrated like me. And then you feel empowered and you say, I have the power to put this all together, and I can push it out to the public and make it easily digestible for the regular taxpayer to understand. How do I do that? You got to learn how to run CapCut, Jessica. You got to learn how to write videos and overlay pictures and sounds like I did with that video on my phone, my tiny little phone. And then after you edit it, then you have to do a voiceover. And if you live in a house with birds and dogs and fish and kids, you hide in a closet with the door closed and you write a script to go along with all of the pictures. And then you record it. And then maybe you make a mistake and then you start it again. And then you record it again. And then you finally put together a decent 1.5 minute long video. And you put it all together. And then now you've got this video, and then what do you do with it? Well, you put it on the internet. But if you only have a couple of followers, it doesn't go anywhere. So what do? You have to build a massive platform with 44,000 followers on X, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, 4,000 followers on Facebook. And that takes years. And then you take it, and then you use the platform and you upload the video that took you months to build, and you put it out and you pray and you hope that people listen. And when they go to the ballot box in November, they go, I remember that video Jess Machado made that showed me her husband and her were going to financially benefit from bills that she put into law, and they don't vote for them. You people could fucking never. And I don't mean you. These fucking content creators who want to come at me don't have one fucking iota of the skill set that I have. You know who does? Fucking Aiden Carney. And that's about it. And that is why I stand exactly where I always have for him. Everybody else, fuck you for coming at me. You could fucking never. You don't even have the fucking skill set, tenacity, brains, bandwidth, imagination, connections, or anything. Nothing. The haters will say you're a drama queen. I'm that too. I love fucking drama, but I'm also this bitch. Have a good motherfucking day.
It's all your favorite Jess Machado songs on one CD. Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Grab my glasses, I'm out the door. I'm gonna hit this city. Before I leave, brush my teeth, say goodbye to Jack. When I leave for Bunny After Dark, I'm not coming back. It's all the hits you've always loved in one place. Just so everyone knows, it's alright because I got Jeff his new guitar. And that's okay, cause my family is the best thing for me. Whether you're singing in the car by yourself or hanging out with your besties, there's a song for everybody. How much is that coffee at Society? Last week it was 50 cents less. How much is that coffee at Society? I don't care if this causes a mess. Recruiting seagulls, dishing about politics, or just straight up gossiping, this is the CD for you. One low price of $19.99. The chat I can't see. I'm driving and the sun's in my eyes. I love 24 on 24. I said I'm getting all the views. Sorry, Brian and Crawford, I told you before. Don't fuck with me, I'm a Fall River whore. Don't fuck with this Fall River whore. All songs, all decades, all moods, all Jess. I got a new life, you'd hardly recognize me. I'm so glad that Kayla Churchill and Jen Altman are not in my life. I don't care about all of my stupid haters. That is right. Eat my asshole. I saw the sign. It opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Get out of bed and call today.